I'm Dan Rather. To millions of Americans, they are miracle drugs, but they're also being blamed for an epidemic of addiction. 48 hours, right now. You may have seen the headlines. Hollywood celebrities battling addiction to prescription painkillers. But now it could be your wife, your husband, or your kids.
He was a sweetheart.
There are tens of thousands like Troy, addicted.
I'm ashamed of it. Embarrassed about it.
The pharmaceutical company that manufactures this drug, this is not what they had in mind.
Harold Dow has the story.
He's my son and he's in pain.
Now Troy wants his life back. Will this radical treatment end his addiction? And this wife and mother says she got addicted by doing just what was prescribed.
I never took one pill extra. I never abused it.
Is the drug company to blame? Peter Van Sant investigates.
Patients who are taking Oxycontin appropriately don't get addicted.
In fact, while these painkillers are a godsend to millions,
There aren't words to explain it. It's a miracle.
in the wrong hands, even the first time can be deadly.
We have a young lady that will not wake up.
48 Hours teams up with MTV's Serena Altshow to investigate America's fastest growing drug epidemic.
By the time I had realized anything was actually going on, it was way too late.
Addicted. It is the fastest growing drug problem in the country. But what is most startling is that the drugs involved are legal. Good evening. It's estimated at least 40 million Americans suffer from moderate or chronic pain. Many rely on powerful prescription painkillers for relief, but many others are apparently seeking a very different kind of fix from these prescription remedies. There's been a dramatic rise in the illegal use of these drugs, growing accounts of abuse, addiction, and even death. Tonight, in a joint investigation with the MTV network, we'll give you a look into the devastating effects of abusing one especially popular pain remedy. A lot of legitimate pain patients fear that they will become the real losers as the government aims to crack down on the abuse. We begin with Harold Dow in one town and with one family, caught up in a rising tide of addiction.
It's a nightmare. You know, who would ever think that they would have to go through this, you know? Who would ever think that?
I never said I want to grow up to be a junkie. Ever. It's crazy. I mean, whoever thought of crushing a pill, putting it in a spoon, cooking it up, and shooting it into your arm with a hypodermic needle?
It's a beautiful day in the state of Maine. But for Kathy Bernier and her 22-year-old son, Troy Sweat, it's another day in hell. You can't feel good about this, Troy.
No, I don't. I'm ashamed of it. Embarrassed about it.
Like tens of thousands of people around the country, Troy breaks the law every day, abusing a powerful painkiller called Oxycontin. Is there anything we can say to you to prevent you from doing this?
No, probably not. If I were to go without oxys, I'd feel violently sick.
But you know, the pharmaceutical company that manufactures this drug, this is not what they had in mind.
No, I'm sure it isn't.
The company, Purdue Pharma, developed Oxycontin to provide long-lasting pain relief. The drug does contain a large quantity of narcotic, but it is coupled with a special time-release agent to control the dosage, an innovation some call a miracle. A miracle for many of the 6 million people currently taking the drug for pain, but a scourge for communities around the country where police say recreational use has created an epidemic of addiction. And although Oxycontin is effective when taken properly, it can be lethal when abused. A recent federal investigation has linked more than 280 deaths to the drug in the last 2 years. The problem started when people like Troy discovered they could defeat Oxycontin's time-release agent by cooking it off and injecting pure narcotic. It's tough to watch you do this.
I'm kind of desensitized to it.
Of course, Troy's arms didn't always look like this.
He was a sweetheart. I mean, this boy is so caring, and I think it still shows even now.
He grew up in a stable home in Bangor, Maine, with his mother, Kathy, who runs a fitness center, and his twin sister, Amanda.
My brother and I, as we were growing up, we were very close and shared everything.
But Troy began experimenting with drugs as a teenager.
All it took was a kid 1 year older than him saying, let's try this, and he's okay.
Then, in 1997, he discovered the new prescription painkiller, Oxycontin.
Kind of seemed like the in thing to do. Then, at one point, I just realized that I had to have them every day to feel okay.
Farnham says the problem has exploded in places like Maine because in rural working-class areas, more people suffer work-related injuries. That means more pain prescriptions and more potential for abuse.
What's your drug of choice? What's your opioid of choice?
Oxycontin.
And because Oxycontin is federally approved, it doesn't carry the social stigma of illegal opiates, like heroin.
Kids who might start out in a very recreational kind of way with this substance very quickly get in over their heads.
All I can think about is when I'm going to do them, like how I'm going to get them, how I'm going to get money to get them.
So what's the difference between you and a heroin addict?
Not much.
For someone with a $300 a day habit like Troy,
That's my money, right?
dealing the pills has become a necessity.
Not an honest living.
What do you call your life in the last 5 years?
Survival.
But this summer, Troy could survive no longer.
What was the bottom?
The bottom was being completely broke with a huge habit.
After masking his problem for years, Troy finally told his mom everything.
I was shaking. He was shaking. I mean, he told me, I said, you just don't know how much I love you, Troy. And he said, yeah, I do, Mom. It's probably just the same amount that I love you.
Was that tough? Was it painful for you to do that?
It was really tough. I mean, I denied it for so long. I don't want to tell my mother that I'm addicted to a substance that I can't control my life because of.
Kathy has agreed to send Troy to California for a radical treatment called Rapid Detox. It promises to cure Troy without a painful withdrawal.
It's an 80 milligram Oxycontin tablet. $100.
You have to understand, he's my son and he's in pain. And I said, how much would it take? And I can't even believe I'm saying that to you. How much would it take?
How do you feel about your mom giving you money for oxys?
It's pathetic. I feel like a scumbag because of it.
On the last weekend before Troy leaves for detox,
You know what we could do is clean up a little. Gosh, what a mess.
Kathy and Amanda clean his apartment.
This is nasty. How can people live like this?
While upstairs, Troy does what he must do to start his day.
It crushes my mother. I don't know how she can go through it right now knowing what's going on.
We can't really understand, but we love him so much that we have to help him.
Amanda will accompany her brother to California.
It's my first time to the West Coast.
So you've got about 9 hours left before you begin your journey. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
I'm getting a little nervous about the whole situation.
You're not thinking about backing out, are you?
No, I'm not going to back out. I'm definitely going to go through with it.
Finally,
All set?
the morning arrives. Kathy drives Troy and Amanda to the airport in Portland and says goodbye.
You guys have a good time?
Yep, we will.
I'm feeling a little sick, a little queasy.
Is Troy finally on the way to beating his Oxycontin addiction?
I missed them already, and I'm really a little worried.
That's next.